الناس لا يريدون إلا كتاب الله ولا يريدون إلا سنة رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم والله المستعان.
The fourth principle, وضوح الانطلاق والسير في عمل الدعوة إلى الله والأمر بالمعروف والنهي عن المنكر، فلا سرية ولا تكتلات مخفية ولا تجمعات خاصة. He mentions رحمه الله تعالى the wuduh, the clarity of the manner of proceeding. That is, the manner in which they go forth, the manner in which they proceed with their affairs. Wuduh, واضح جدا. Wuduh al-shams. Their affair, ikhwan, is crystal clear. He said, وَالسَّيْرِ فِي عَمَلِ الدَّعْوَةِ, and their methodology and their movement in da'wah. Yani that which they carry out in relation to their da'wah. He said, and the enjoining of the good and the forbidding of the evil. فَلَا سِرِّيَّةِ, there is no secrecy in their da'wah. There is nothing, ikhwan, hidden under the table. What you see is what you get. What you see is what you get. And those of you who are familiar with programming and what have you, in the programming world, they refer to it as WYSIWYG. WYSIWYG. Easy to memorize. WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. هذا هو السلفي. WYSIWYG. The one, ikhwan, who has no hidden agenda, nothing hidden, no secrecy, nothing that has an ulterior motive trying to convey. What you see is what you get. Wuduh, wadih, al-intilaq. The Salafi, ikhwan, will not hide his methodology. He won't make and put on a particular face because of the fact that all of her, kullu ha'ulai ahl al-bid'ah, and he's the only Salafi that is present. La. Yaqul al-haq. And this is where he requires and needs some bravery. He's a jama'ah of mubtadi'ah. And now his opinion is sought, mathalan, in an affair. What does he do? He either acquiesces to their ra'i and to their bid'ah and to that which they are upon, knowing that it is batil, knowing that it is mukhalif to what he actually believes, knowing that it opposes the methodology of the salaf of this ummah, but he acquiesces, just accepts it, and he hides the haqq that he has. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he mentioned, أيها الإخوة, as occurs in the hadith of Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, لا يمنعن أحدكم هيبة الناس أن يقول الحق إذا علمه. Let not one of you cause the awe and the reverence that he has for the people. Let not one of you cause the awe and the reverence that he has for the people prevent him from speaking the haqq if he knows of it. Let not one of you cause the awe and the reverence that he has for the people prevent him from speaking the haqq if he knows of it. And in those pieces of advice that the Prophet ﷺ gave to Abi Dharr, he mentioned to him 7 pieces of advice, but one of them he mentioned to him, وَأَن تَتَكَلَّمَ بِمُرِّ الْحَقِّ, and that you speak with the bitter truth. Because that is the haqq sometimes, ikhwan, the truth sometimes is bitter. And so, he uses hikmah as much as possible. The first thing he asks himself is, how would the Prophet ﷺ possibly have dealt with this situation? Can I think of a hadith that was similar to this? And then how would the Sahaba have dealt with it? Can I think of an instance that is similar to this? This is what guides him, is the ilm. And this is why the people of knowledge, ikhwan, they call to an increase in ilm, because the more we're familiar with the sunnah, familiar with what the Sahaba were upon, familiar with the qasas and the narrations of the salaf, the quicker, ikhwan, those instances come to mind. The quicker we're able to reference them. The quicker, ikhwan, we'll be guided to what they were upon. And so the first thing we ask ourselves is, what would they do? What would they have done? And when it comes to speaking the truth, ikhwan, we never hide it. Salafi is wadih. What was it the Prophet ﷺ mentioned concerning that which he left us upon? تَرَكْتُكُمْ عَلَى مِثْلِ الْبَيْضَاءِ. I left you upon that which is pure and white. And you, carriers of that bayda, how are you going to carry it if you're going to hide and conceal it and be afraid? How would the prophets and messengers have conveyed this haqq if they were going to hide and conceal it and be afraid and be taken by peer pressure? How would the likes of the family of Ammar bin Yasir, how would they have conveyed this haqq if they were going to hide and be afraid? Bilal radiallahu anhu, when it was said, when he was punished, and he would continue to say, Ahadun Ahad. And it was said to him, Qul kama naqul. He said, Wallahi lisani la yastati'uhu. He said, my tongue is not able to bear it, to manifest it. Speaking the haqq, ayyuha al-ikhwa, when they are faced and they are placed in that position where the haqq has to be spoken, when their advice is sought, when something requires advising, they speak the haqq, ikhwan. They are not afraid. And so, as we've mentioned constantly, ikhwan, this affair requires rijal, men. It requires rijal, men who are men, brave. Men, ikhwan, who will establish the haqq with bravery. Women who are brave. Women like Aisha radiallahu anha, Fatima, Asiya, the wife of Fir'aun. Women who are strong and brave and firm. This is what this wudu and this methodology requires. Nothing hidden, ikhwan, no hidden agenda.
يا طالب العلم قم لا تنم فإن الزمان انقضى وانصرم فكن ما حييت ضنينا به فظنك بالوقت عين الكرم وكن حلس درسك وافرح به تكن قائدا في غد للأمم.